Hi, are you a child of a narcissist like me? If so, welcome. Ooh, I hope y'all can hear me. I got the air on because it's hot in these parts, okay? Anyway, so I want to say I was about like early 20s when I realized that my parent was a narcissist. Now, mind you, I always knew something was wrong with them. I always knew that they were not normal. Like, I always knew that they were malignant, evil, and just wicked, just messed up. I always knew that. However, I didn't know anything about NPD, narcissistic personality disorder until I got like I said, early 20s, and that's when I started reading up on it, and I was like, hold on, and then here's the thing. So when I went to therapy, because I was in therapy for not even that long, but I was in therapy for a minute, and my therapist, as I was describing my parent to my therapist, they was like, is your parent a narcissist? And I was like, I just started learning about that, and I'm still trying to piece together. And my therapist was like, yeah, they sound like a narcissist. My therapist was like, girl, like to a T. She was like, even just what you described, it just sounds like pure narcissism. And I was like, yeah. And so when I tell people about some of the things I've been through with this parent, I always get embarrassed because of how much I've let this person put me through. There has been so much that I have allowed this parent of mine to get away with. And after all these years, I'm in my mid-20s now, but after all these years, I am finally ready to be rid of this person, because I just can't do it anymore. I'm fatigued. Fatigue is the only word. Exhausted, yeah, but fatigue with this person. I am so fatigued with the drama, the toxicity, and I think that I have forgiven enough. There's been so much that this parent has put me through, and I think I've just had enough. I think I've forgiven enough. I think I've done enough. And one of the things that bothers me about myself is that like I said, I forgave too much, and I held on for too long. And now I'm like, man, if I had cut this person off a long time ago, I wouldn't have been through half of the more that they put me through. And I'm just tired. I also feel dumb because I realized after all these years that this person never truly liked me or loved me. And I don't even know if that person is capable of feeling that, because like I said, they're a narcissist. But I think that I feel dumb because I always let this person get away with it, and I always thought that when we were good, because mind you, my situation with this parent, I'll just go ahead and say it's my mother. My situation with my mother and her, in my opinion, being a narcissist, there's not always, there's a lot of bad, yes, there's a lot of bad there, but there were times where she was able to function normally, to where I would start to get comfortable with this. Oh, maybe maybe this could work. Maybe I know she's made a lot of mistakes, but maybe she can finally be a good mother to me. And I had to realize, after so many times of disappointment, after so many times of me thinking that maybe things are different this time, that she could finally be capable of having a genuine relationship with her daughter, me. After so many times, I realized that she's not capable of that. And I had to realize that I was kind of hanging on for no reason. And like I said, I felt dumb, still feel dumb, for thinking that things could be different. And also, one of the things about narcissists in general is that they are big manipulators. And a lot of the reason why she would even talk to me is because I was useful to her, in a sense, because narcissists they're big users. Obviously, they use everybody. Everybody's a pawn in their game. We're all, chess pieces to them. Like, they're using us all. They're moving us how they want to move us and stuff like that. And it took me a while to realize that I was never important to her outside of what she could use me for. And that's it. I mean, yeah, that's hurtful and stuff like that, to know that it was never genuine. It was genuine on my end, even though I was the one constantly getting hurt, and I was constantly the one on the receiving end of whatever they were on. It's like, now I'm like, you never really intended for us to ever have a good relationship. All of your apologies when you ever gave them, and yeah, mind you, this narcissistic person apologized. I know people think narcissists don't apologize. They do, but it's not genuine. They'll make you think it's genuine because they want to continue to use you, and they don't mind giving an apology. Mind you, I was always surprised that my mother could apologize when she did. Now, she didn't apologize for everything. Now, most of the time she deflects, projects, gives an excuse, or just gets enraged when you tell her anything about herself. But there's times where she'll apologize, and you'll be thinking, okay, she apologized, she didn't deflect, but she does still, like, it actually, take that back, even in her apologies, there's still some slight deflection, there's still some slight excuses. But she'll give an apology and make it sound genuine too. And like I said, I come to realize that that's easy for her to give an apology because she doesn't plan on changing the behavior. So she knows she's going to do something again, and she's just trying to apologize to you so you can get over it, so you can stop talking about it, basically, so you can hurry up and shut up, basically. And that's what narcissists do. They want you to shut up. That's their goal. Their goal is to get you to stop talking, so that way they can go on with their life and go on with their day. And so when they give an apology, it's often fake. I don't know if my mother has ever genuinely apologized to me. I don't know, because she continued the same behavior. So I'm just like, I'd rather have changed behavior than 1,000 apologies. And I'm not saying like a person has to change their whole life for me, but what I'm saying is that, like, you did something specifically to hurt me, and it was intentional. And a lot of times, and that's another thing, she intentionally hurts me. And it's not just me. I'm not her only kid. She has 4 children, but she intentionally tries to hurt everybody, and it's always a calculated move on her part. And I feel like with me, because I was the scapegoat kid, basically, because narcissists usually have their favorites and they have their scapegoats, and depending on how many kids they have or whatever. And my mom happens to have 4, and I was definitely the scapegoat kid. And that was because I was the kid that knew the truth very early on. I've always been the type of person that when you're telling me something and it doesn't sound right, I'm not just going to believe everything you say. My siblings, on the other hand, believed everything she said. They didn't bother to be like, that don't sound right. Or, that don't sound like, what? Like, 'cause she would be telling me stuff growing up. Like, she had this thing where she constantly talked poorly about my father, who was her ex-husband. And she drugged that man through the dirt. I mean, she told me things about that man that I shouldn't even know as his daughter. It's just like she made it a mission every day. But the only reason why she did that is because she knew that I loved my dad, and I, liked my dad. And although she had me full time, and he saw me every other weekend, like he picked me up every other weekend, and I spent the whole weekend with him. That's how the custody worked out. She spent every day telling me how horrible he was and this and that, and like, what she didn't get was that she was being counterproductive, because like, you're trying to get me to hate him, but really you're only making me hate you, because I'm not seeing from him what you're telling me, and I'm seeing from you, though, your obnoxious behavior, your narcissistic tendencies. I'm seeing that from you, but everything you're saying about him is what I'm seeing in you. And basically, she made my life a living hell because I had a good relationship with my dad, and she hated that. The things that woman said to me about not just my dad, but the things about me and my dad's relationship, I could write a book about, and I will be sharing more of that. But for right now, I'm just mainly talking about just having a narcissistic parent, just getting the baseline for it. And sometimes a narcissistic parent, like narcissistic parents, even though they treat you badly, they still don't want you to have relationships with other people. They still want you to center them, even if they treat you horribly. So even though my mom, like I said, she was being counterproductive, because even though my mom could have had a good relationship with me and had a better one than I had with my dad if she had just tried and been a better person, but instead, oh, I'm not going to be a good person to you. I just hate the fact that you have somebody being good to you, but I'm still going to treat you like crap, and I still want you to center me as your parent and stuff like that, but I don't want you to have a good relationship with nobody else. And that's always how she's been. Everybody has to center her in some way. And like I said, after all these years, I'm finally done. And I often ask God, because I'm a believer, I used to ask God. I don't ask him anymore once I kind of got some confirmation, I guess, spiritual confirmation. But I used to question God, like, why did you give me that type of mother? She has messed me up in so many ways, so much that I've had to heal from, so much I've had to work through. And I was like, why me? Why me? The answer is more of like God didn't say it directly, but he said it with other things. Because now I'm a mother myself. I have 2 children. And I couldn't imagine being a quarter of what she was to me, to them. And I used to question God, like, why did you give me a mother like that? Because now I have to start over from scratch, and I have to be the mother that I did not have. And it's hard because I don't have a blueprint. I'm out here breaking generational curses, and I don't have a blueprint. I just know that I don't want my kids to feel how I felt. And I'm choosing every day to be different than her, even if it means being selfless and pushing back things within myself. And just trying to, basically what I'm trying to say is just healing and not pouring out my rage on anybody else, making sure that I break that generational curse. Because see, with my mother is that I don't really know how my grandmother was to her, because I had a good relationship with my grandma, her mother. And my grandma also just recently passed away, which is another key factor in why I cut my mom off. But I'll get to that some other time. But my grandmother recently passed away, and my mother claims that my grandmother was like that with her. And that could be true. That could be true. I didn't never see that version of my grandma, though. I didn't see it. But my mom claims it was there. But my mom did admit, and this is the crazy thing, she would admit, she'd be like, yeah, my mom was like that with me, but to be honest, I'm kind of worse than her. She would say that with full confidence. And I used to be like, and you're worse, and you don't care? You don't give a damn. Like, you don't care at all. Like, that you have messed your kids up and that you're worse than your mother. So that's the thing. Like, whenever we be calling her out about her stuff as her children, like, you did this to us, you did that to us, she'll deflect and be like, well, my mama did this, blah, blah, blah. And you just be like, but didn't you say you was worse than her? So why are you even using her right now as an excuse? Like, talking about, oh, she did this to me too. It's like, well, you're worse, and you need to work on that. But like I said, narcissists don't work on anything. They just lie, manipulate, and they say enough to keep you around them, and they do enough to keep you off their back, but it's not genuine. And so, but like I said, after so many years, I am now fatigued. I am now tired. And now back to I know I'm all over the place, but back to my conversation with God about, like, why did you give me this type of mother? I finally realized he gave me this type of mother so I could have a testimony about motherhood and share with other people who might be going through this too. Create a community of hurt children, of people that been hurt as children by their parents or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to like create some victim community or something like that, but I'm just saying, like, I think he just wants me to be a living testimony and a living sacrifice, because there's no way he gave me this type of mother and it wasn't for a reason, you know. So yeah, and I think he also gave me that so I could do 10 times better with my own children and raise them in the way that they should go. So we're gonna be talking more about that, and I got so many mother narcissist stories out there for you guys. Okay, so this is a community where we are going to talk about narcissistic parents. All right, thank you.